If you're tired of corporate media bowing to fascists and fundamentalists, check out The Collective. It's a grassroots, creator-owned platform for people who believe in liberation, not empire. At The Collective, you'll find fiery essays, sharp satire, and thought-provoking articles from today's boldest, justice-minded writers. Plus, you'll get real tools to create change, like scripts to contact your congresspeople, guides to push back locally, and a nationwide directory of Black and queer-owned businesses. Use promo code RADICALLOVE for 10% off a yearly subscription. That's a savings of 20% off the monthly price. Visit thecollective.com. That's TheQuolllective and become part of something that resists, reimagines, and rebuilds.
This is Radical Love Live, an ongoing series of conversations with thought leaders exploring faith outside the boxes, hosted by Mark Dilcomb and Kelly Wilson. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Mark.
Welcome back to another episode.
Indeed. How are you?
I am freaking awesome as I like to be.
How awesome is freaking awesome? Like on the scale?
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably rolling at about an 8.2, 8.3 in there. So
like that it's fractional.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because I work in fractions, in my head. But yeah, like as we were talking about in the previous episode, even in all, this summer was the greatest lesson I could have had to set me up for the work that I'm doing, for, Divine All Along, Divine Spaces, the manifesto coming out, even though at the time it was like very, pushed my buttons at all levels, and it was very overwhelming. I needed that because that connects back to this freaking awesome, because it gave me a very unvarnished way to see my blind spots and my limitations in a way that I never have had to face, because everything that I was doing for my mom in this moment was all about unconditional love. And I have not ever been tested like that. Now, a lot of our listeners, you are a parent. You know to test that. Yes.
Oh my God. I never knew about love until I was a dad. I was like, I've been so selfish all this time. I didn't even know it.
Amen. And I have been up to that moment because I'm not a parent. So
yeah, and I don't want to say that parenting is the only way to learn that, but it's definitely a crash course.
It is, and it is the most common way that somebody will make a connection to, like, I have to do this because I love this person so much, and no matter what the challenges is, I must see this through. And I had to go through that. I had to have that trial by fire, managing it, like all of the stuff that was going on. I'm also in that moment of like, oh my God, I'm parenting my parent. And there's the realization of coming with it that we're at that stage of our life. Now, my mom is in great health and all of that. I mean, she's not going anywhere anytime soon. But still, I was in a parental role in taking leadership on things that this is my first time, and again, I can only do this through love. I cannot do it for any other reason. So back to the fractional of the 8.2, I have a true basis now to measure, where before it was like, yeah, I could say I'm freaking awesome, but now I actually, and again, I really needed that. Like it's put me in a place that I need to be, as now it's time to pick up and really get Divine Spaces launched and the manifesto I'm wrapping up and all that other stuff. So I say that in all very long-winded, over-explanative.
It was lovely. No, it was a little like mini sermon there.
Well, you know me. I love to overshare. But how are you, my beloved friend?
I am good. I'm not great. There's I'm facing a lot of challenges right now.
Yeah.
One of the things that happened to me this week is a little bit of a sharpening of a focus on my testimony about God. And one of the things I don't talk about my sobriety a lot on the show.
No, you don't.
Because I don't want it to just become like two sober guys show.
That's true, because we could make it that if we wanted to. Sure, yes,
but I've been sober for 3.5 years.
Yes.
And
yes.
Thank you. And one of the things, there's a local detox that I speak at sometimes, like once a month I go. And I'm always the first one to say, you know, any 12-step program talks about God. And I'm the first to say, this doesn't have to be God. This doesn't have to be religious God. It doesn't have to be the God of your church. It doesn't have to be like big, you know, old man in the sky pointing at you. It can be your higher power. It can be your better self. It can be a group. And this week, various meetings and conversations I've been in have focused me back on, yes, I'm being inclusive, and yes, I'm being sensitive to people who, you know, who have had problems with God, with church, with abuse, with, you know, even saying our Father is hard for some people because they're like, well, fuck my father. He was a dick, you know.
Yeah.
But am I being too humble about my experiences with God? Because at the end of the day, I am a very religious person. I'm a very spiritual person.
Yes.
And one of the things my sobriety told me was that I've been talking a big game about God for a long time and wasn't relying on him the way that I was relying on, you know, having several glasses of whiskey at the end of the day. You know, when I was looking for comfort or courage or solace, I wasn't really trusting God. And now I am. Now I really have to like go out on faith and be like, God, I hope you got this, because I don't. And I'm being shown that in my empathy and wanting to give everybody space, that I'm being a little bit shy about being like, but by the way, I do believe in God. And God's pretty helpful for me. And I'm trying to formulate ways to articulate that in a way that people who either don't believe or can't believe are still part of the conversation. And they're not like, oh, no, now I'm getting a sermon.
Yeah. I love you for saying that, because I had to struggle with that. And that's one thing that I've made it past that hurdle, because it is a hurdle, right? And I was challenged by a super dear friend who said, why are you hiding your light under the bushel? You know, directly pulling from biblical reference to that. And I'm like, I don't know. It's a profoundly simple question. Why are you hiding your light? It has no bearing on what somebody else. I'm projecting what I think I want that person to think, as you were just saying. It doesn't matter, because we're called to shine our light. Yeah, we can proselytize and we can use it to harm, of course, where you take it too far. But shining our light and being, you know, witness to our faith, where's the harm in that? Especially if we're talking about it in first person, as we are taught to do in 12-step meetings.
This is my experience.
This is my experience.
Let's look for similarities and not differences. Yeah. So anyway, that's the big lesson that I'm kind of metabolizing this week, is how to let that light shine.
So we have Jon Carl back in the studio.
A light in our
presence.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us, friend, talk to us about how your week has been, and how do you let your light shine? That's a double dip. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, let's start off with the hard ones.
No easy questions on Radical Love Live.
Well, I let me talk about last weekend, which was a really good experience for me. I went to a workshop led by a teacher named Adam Brown, and he teaches Qigong, which is, you may know Tai Chi.
Yeah.
It comes out of Taoism. And it's all about the energy flow that not only flows through your body, but when you're doing Qigong, you feel the energy coming from the heavens, and you feel the energy coming from the ground. I love Taoism because next to Christianity, it is, and of course, indigenous practices, which we don't call religions because religion doesn't exactly work.
It does not fit that. Correct. But
it is the most incarnational pathway I have ever encountered.
Wow. So well said.
So you like spirituality in the body.
It's spirituality in the body.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
insist on the body.
Yeah, we have family that practice Taoism, and I'll just add to that. I don't want to take away from your story. They can move between their Taoist practices and beliefs, and they go to their holy house, and they're very, very active into their practice, and hold their Christian traditions as well.
Yes.
They don't have to be either or; they can be both and that's a beautiful thing. And I see it witnessed directly with my family. I'm like, yes. So
Yeah.
continue about your weekend.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
what I think I would call myself a Tao Christian. But, when you were doing the lead and you talk about, I've heard the phrase, my home is with Jesus. My heart is with Jesus. And I have cottages everywhere.
Okay.
So when this Taoist teacher who was raised Jewish is speaking out of the essence of Taoism, out of pure Taoism, I learn more from him than someone who's being pan-spiritual. When my buddy Kalen Strauss, who powerful teacher, lived in a Hindu ashram through his formative young adult years, and knows Hinduism back and forth. He's not one of these yoga teachers who got the credits. It's like he understands Hindu philosophy. He has huge sculptures of Hindu deities in his house. And Kay gets on his YouTube channel, usually shirtless. He's a bodybuilder. I don't know why I know all these bodybuilder spiritual people, but that's another.
That would be for another episode, I think, my friend. We should explore that, Jon Carl.
Right.
So you're attracted to discipline.
That's what it is. Yes, it's the discipline. That's what we're calling it
Sorry.
these
That's
days.
what it is.
That's what it is. Discipline, yes.
But Kay gets on YouTube and he says, the problem with these religious traditions is that they focus on the tradition. They don't focus on the fact that universal truths are universal truths.
That's kind of a mic drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't say that in simplistic because it is universal truths are exactly that. It sounds rhetorical, but
Truth is true.
but truth is true.
Yeah.
And there are universal truths. Now, how we align to them or what they are, of course, that's up to our individual interpretation to some degree, but there are some that are core universal truths.
Yeah, like don't eat pork is not a universal truth.
That would be a good example. Yes.
Treat your neighbor as yourself. That's a universal
That's
truth.
a universal, yes.
But,
Well said.
again, one time, bring up the name. Richard says if it's true anywhere, it's true everywhere.
Ooh, okay.
Which I think has to be true. I mean, the whole notion of like my truth, like I spoke my truth, only goes so far. Like there's a point where you have to be like, true is true. That there are certain things that you can believe as your truth that I know are not true.
True. True. No, lots of truths being thrown around here.
Right.
So I look at it this way, referencing the Time magazine cover that asked the question, "Is God dead?" That was back in the 1960s, right? Whatever date that was, right? Is God dead? And I have processed that a lot over my own, just exploration here. And I think, no, God can't be dead because if I believe in God, to Richard's point, then God is alive.
Yeah.
What it doesn't take, there's no number to quantify that. Does that make sense? Like,
Right.
If one person believes in God, then is God alive?
I don't know, because I'm now thinking about like truth's relationship to belief rather than some other measurement. Because I mean, you can believe something that is empirically not true.
Empirically. But with God, which is not empirical, How do we make God empirical? The proof of our beliefs, our faiths, we
Lived experience.
lived experience. We talk about the demonstration of such, but are those empirical? Is it something? What is all of that? I mean, we're kind of now getting way into
Right. What is truth?
what is truth? But what if it's, what did Richard say? I don't want to
if it's true anywhere, it's true everywhere.
I have to. I actually have to go with that.
Well, I think so too. I think that there's disagreement about what's true.
Yeah,
And-
totally. We
and
can
it-
go there.
It requires a
Yes.
certain amount of unlearning certain things and
totally.
opening one's eyes and listening and digging down to find what those sort of core ground truths are.
Yes, totally agree. But
Right.
to that point, if it's true somewhere, then it's true everywhere because it is true with something somewhere. Anyway, yes.
Well, and it's interesting you're talking about unlearning. How my buddy Kay ended up in an ashram is that when he was being raised as a good Methodist boy, Sunday school, he went to a teacher and said, how do I connect more fully with the divine, or something like that.
That's pretty profound, right?
And the Methodist teacher said, "Oh, you can join the choir."
Okay, that's a response.
And he said, I'm done here.
Yeah.
And why I'm saying that is, there's the small T truth, and then there's the big T truth. The small T truth are things that don't matter.
Right.
Big T truth is things that do matter. And Kay, from a young age, was headed off to find the deepest truth.
Wow.
And he dug and he searched and he dug and he searched.
And so that's where the deep faith comes from, the faith that
That's
you
right.
have, the faith that you have, the faith that I have. But it's only because of the hard work and continually asking for seeking the big T truth as you describe it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for most folks in their faith, either because they fear, they don't know how. There's so many reasons why people don't go deep into their faith. A lot of us, quite honestly, within institutions are not encouraged to go there because now you're tampering and we're threatened that if you go into those spaces, you're tempting, I don't know, dare we say Satan or some other like very anti-Christ kind of.
Like, don't be asking those questions.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because you are about to get yourself into trouble. Yes, you're going to get yourself into trouble with God. So, yeah.
Well, there is a legitimate fear of going deep.
Okay.
If you go deep in spiritual practice, aspects of your life, if not your whole life, will fall apart.
Yes, there's that.
And that's part of the going
Absolutely.
deep. My mother
That's very
dying,
true.
and not so much my mother dying, but having to be intimately involved with my mother for months before she died.
Yeah.
It takes you places you don't want to go.
That is exactly
until
right.
after, when you go deep into your spiritual truth, you gain this sight where you walk around and you know who you're supposed to be talking to. And you also know, oh my goodness, this person I've been friends with for years and years and years, I've learned what I need to know.
Yes.
My family is not helping me grow spiritually. And in fact, they're making it harder for me to grow spiritually, and you need to walk away.
Yes.
So
Which sounds very much Jesus and the disciples.
it is, and you don't, and I'm starting to understand those hard passages.
So, like, if you don't hate your mother and your father and follow me, then
Right. I was just reading about the follow me's, the references to those in the Jesus uses those. There's like 5 of those, the follow me's. They're an invitation, but they're a hard
They
invitation.
are hard invitation. And I believe Jesus engaged in hyperbole and humor. I believe he did. But the deep truth of follow me is incredibly painful.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
your soul doesn't do it until you're ready.
Oh God. Yeah. Right. No, that's. Yeah, very well said. You're right. Your soul's not going to allow you to do that. I'm taking it from an external that you're told not to, but it's really coming from within. The soul is not going to allow us to go those spaces until we're ready together, because it's a journey. It feels like, not to go off into Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey, but it does feel like you need to go deep, and in that's not going to be an easy process. But if you're not equipped and prepared for it, that can be a very painful, unfulfilling experience.
It's scary.
It's a very scary space.
You can get destroyed by the spiritual.
Yes, you can.
If you don't have a practice to ground it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is correct. You and I have similar journeys in that sense, because we've trained in a contemplative practice and meditation that I did as an atheist, but it helped get me to the point to see the divine in a place beyond words, beyond anything. That was the place where I met God.
Yeah.
In an AA meeting.
Well,
but that was a space
God hangs out in a lot of church basements.
Right.
We need the people in the church basements to take over management of the church building.
Oh, right. That would be
What a revival, and return it to its Anglican roots.
Yeah, right.
That's where AA started.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you guys talk about the soul kind of holding back from finding that truth, because from the traditions that I come from, the evangelical, and I was in the charismatics for a while, is that they were sort of afraid of trusting yourself, your soul, because the fear was that your soul would either just, if you left it to your own self, you would just follow pleasure in the world, or you would follow some demonic, that you would open yourself up to spirits, and spirits would talk to you, but they would be the wrong spirits, would lead you astray. And it's interesting to hear you guys talk about it, because it's the personal soul that's being the gatekeeper. Looking at it from two different sides is like the soul doesn't necessarily seek its own pleasure. Like the soul also seeks a kind of safety.
I think we do, because we're not just a bag of goo, right? There's a soul, there's spirit in us, and it is there beyond this, the incarnation that we are, and there is probably a protective measure, because once I got to that safety space, the dam broke. I'm in deep. I continue to go, and I go places, but I have the trust that I know I'm not being harmed in that, but it allows me to bounce up against truths that I would never have been able to touch otherwise. And I know my soul allows me to do that.
Yeah. And one of the things, about the body, meditation, breath work are amazing ways of getting into your body.
It is, yeah.
But this weekend was a weekend of cultivating erotic energy in your own body and in community.
Yeah.
And from those 4 days of learning how to, a lot of it's just like sitting there and feeling, imagining, breathe this way, touch this part of your body, see what happens. Don't leave out your penis,
right?
Because Taoists are very, very, or at least Qigong is, your sexual center.
Yeah, it's your sacral energy. It's at the base.
Is your sacral energy. That is your connection to Earth.
It is.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
And
thank you for saying that, because even within the chakras, like it's of the 7 chakras, you have to go into your sacral energy.
Right, right. And I'm doing Taoism because I only have to remember 3.
There you go.
Yeah. Head, heart, penis. I can do that.
You can do that.
But what I noticed after I came out of that weekend, well, for one thing, my emotions have been all over the place. It's been a wreck. There was some sort of purging, and I'm feeling so much more. I just cried all the way to the gym this morning. And exalted because I couldn't believe how beautiful life was on another day. And yet something changed in me because I was working in my body with the spiritual.
Yeah.
And people have been relating to me different these past couple of days.
Wow.
Yeah.
There is an energy with
You think they're just kind of feeling there's something different?
I'm noticing differences in how people respond to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go ahead.
People I thought didn't like me. You know, like there are a couple guys at the gym. I thought, they were being aloof. I made my peace with it, sit down right next to me and ask how I'm doing. I'm like, what changed? Me.
Yeah, it's always us.
Me.
It's ourselves that changes. It's not.
I changed. I opened the door. I opened my heart, and the right people are coming in.
So, my beloved brother, you are going to where we had left off the last episode, talking about that line to which some people will not cross. Kelly, you were setting it up perfectly.
I don't start up any conversations in the locker room at the gym. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about like in the evangelical charismatic space where, men specifically, like there are places we don't want to go because we're making ourselves vulnerable or heart-centered. So
yeah, and it's like there's a fear that it'll be like this irresistible temptation, like to even open yourself up in a vulnerable, emotional way to another man.
Yeah.
There's a fear of like, oh, are you guys getting too intimate? Like, no, we're just like, you can be emotionally connected to another man. Like that's part of being a man.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily gay, but do we even have to put that restriction on it? Like, let's just be genuine with one another.
So you and I think others have experienced a 12-step program where you're pushed into vulnerability and not by choice by some, right? Like I felt, as a queer person being in certain situations on a 12-step meeting, I was like, I don't know if I want to hug you or touch you or like you're getting really into my space, like that was my own fear and projection onto that. But because of having to show up time and again for my own sobriety, I had to break through that barrier myself. And so I can reflect back, maybe that's your shared experience or similar experience where you realize that me being emotionally intimate or vulnerable or just open, whatever word works, with a person who identifies as another man, it's not like a sexual energy or I'm not crossing that boundary there's not a boundary. It's just I'm simply being open to that person as a divine being who happens to manifest into this. And I've learned to separate that out, right? So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know of, as I'm drawing people in, and this is over the past several years, I'm noticing that I've developed incredible intimacy with a Bible teacher at Wild Goose.
Mm-hmm.
Best of my knowledge is not interested in sex with men, not sex with this man, and yet our deepening levels of intimacy are palpable.
Wow.
And then there are others where the deepening intimacy takes the form of needing to touch and being inside each other.
Mm-hmm.
But God, that's not everybody.
Right.
I mean, I can open my heart to like a circle of men, even with the gay men. There were 14 of us, plus the teacher. And we were all standing there like naked, channeling erotic energy. And it wasn't due to looks or anything like that, but my heart opened to various people to varying levels, to varying degrees. Guy I thought was like incredibly hot. It's like, wow, I would love to get my hands on his body. Never did. And that didn't happen. Another guy who looked differently, not as my textbook, amazing connection of the heart. Another man, we sat and wept over having, he lost a partner after 39 years.
Oh man.
Wow.
And yet when we started connecting on like everything. Our faith tradition is the same. Our upbringing is the same. And when you open the heart, no, you don't know where it goes. And I think the fear of this might go gay, it's on some level such a trivial thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Trivial in the eyes of, truth, T, capital T. And let's talk about how gay doesn't always translate to that, because when you're a group of gay men who are not vulnerable, who are not heart-centered, they're doing the man box and just playing with people with the same equipment.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah,
And-
like the same kind of
Yes.
pose.
All the
and-
same, the acquisition, the best job, the best apartment.
Which
the
was my
trips.
life for so many years.
Right, you know it.
I lived that.
I've been in that life.
Totally.
I've been in that life. And it's like,
Amen, brother, for saying that. And that box I was in for decades because I was fearful that maybe there was an imprinting there, but, because of what my early religious experiences that were ultimately negative, knowing that I was queer, but I still had to maintain that box because that's where I was going to connect with my identity, my purpose, my being, all of that, because I had totally shut off my spiritual life. So there's nothing else but what was in my man box.
right. And, I think there is a gay box.
Oh, yes.
I'm in, have some really deepening friendships with people who are coming out of situations of being husbands and fathers, and they love being dads,
Yeah.
and they're great dads.
Yes.
And don't hate their wives.
No, they separate or divorce because of the love that they have for them, knowing that they actually want to liberate or free them, or maybe they cohabitate in some kind of whatever arrangement like that, but it's not out of spite.
No, several of them aren't going to a divorce. Don't want to.
They don't want to, and if their partner agreed to that, and
Right.
they find something that works for them
Right.
inside of that space, God love them.
But
Literally, God love them.
But I have a friend who was involved in a gay men's group. And as we've been talking over the months, he kept wrestling with, I feel like they want me to be gay. I feel like they want me to divorce my wife, and find a partner, and go to clubs, and like Taylor Swift. Sorry, Kay. I know she is goddess. but
I would say Chappelle Round, but
yeah, but he's like they're trying to force me into gay box, not allowing him to be him.
right, putting them into a box.
And I'm finding a lot of men who are sort of like, well, they don't want to be gay. When they see that gay box, they're like, I don't want to do that either.
I want to be me.
I want to be me.
Yeah. So you, in the few minutes we have left, I cannot leave this out of the conversation. You said in the previous episode you touched upon sexual orientation and that you don't use that as a description. Enlighten us a little bit where you're going with that.
Well, it all comes out of, the revelation I had at Wild Goose that my call was to help men heal and become authentic. God knows when this will come to light, but I'm developing an educational community experience called Permission to be Whole.
Ooh, I like that.
Where, we're going to work with Jesus people.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to work with Jesus men, however their genitals are configured, and bring them into a space where the goal is to open the heart, to be connected to each other, and not leave out the genitals, not leave out the erotic energy. This is where I think all of the men's programs right now fall down. They're so afraid of erotic energy.
Right, because
they
they
don't have
put them in
access to that.
True, because they try to box them into either you're straight, I guess, for lack of a better word, or you're
You're an impregnator of women.
Yeah.
right, and so
Like you can't do both.
right, you cannot do both.
But it's sort of like yesterday in the gym, this phrase came to me, and I'm not sure it's true, but I was thinking, the penis has no sexual orientation.
That is correct. It doesn't. That's fundamentally true. The dick does not care. It's driven by
really
everything.
doesn't.
It doesn't care. The dick
Doesn't
wants
care.
to do a couple different things, but we urinate out of it. But ultimately, it likes to go places, right? So yes, and the sexual side of that.
But, that's where I'm backing away from sexual orientation as a category. It's not useful. It's not useful for the work I do. It's not useful for the guys who see the gay box and that's not me. Okay, yeah, you only want to have sex with men or one man, which I find a lot. I want to have sex with this one guy, not all the men in the world.
Yeah. Or the straight box. I mean, the straight box is not fully comfortable either. I
No,
mean, that's why I kind of like,
Right.
I consider myself predominantly straight. I'm in a straight marriage, and but straight men watch porn that has men in it as well. I mean, that's along with the women.
We were talking before we were recording, and that's a great place to go as we wrap up this episode, because fundamentally your point is true. That in of itself, porn, not debating the good or the bad of it, right? That's not the point here.
Right.
If you are watching a hetero porn scene, there's
you're half of that equation, at least, is you're watching a dude.
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's a gateway into gayness for many men, but what
suppose it, right?
You hear the stories.
Yeah.
But the thing about focusing on masculinity is, I don't believe there's a masculinity either.
Okay, so
I will have to come back. I will have to come back.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know if you could put that into 2 minutes here.
No, but here's what we have. We have guys who look like us, guys with dicks.
Yes.
We are forced into the man box so that we know what it is by the age of 3. Whatever our sexual orientation, whatever our gender identity, and this is also for trans women, whatever our gender identity, we were formed to be in that man box. And that man box has constrained who we are. And so for me, the work is with men. When I talk to people who were socialized into the female box, love them as friends, but I can't do that work for them. Women are doing it for themselves.
Absolutely, yeah. I would agree.
Sisters are doing it for themselves, and always had to.
Yeah. Yes.
But it's time for those who are socialized into the man box to get the hell out of it.
I agree. And so let's take it one step further in the short time we have left. Every bit of the work you're doing still ties back to what it is to identify as in the Christian faith a follower of Christ.
Yes.
And there's nothing that would be anathema in the following of Christ to anything that you've just discussed or bringing up.
No, there isn't. It might take years for people to realize that's the case.
Well, that's called flawed theology in the boxes that we've created based all off of that. But fundamentally, I would dare anybody to go start flipping through the Bible. Well, of course, you're going to get into different, Leviticus and the 6 clobber phrases. But, if you look at what Jesus said about these things, you're not going to find it.
Well, no, and the clobber passages are the least helpful place to start in constructing a healthy theology about even homosexuality. Let's start with the Ethiopian eunuch.
Thank you very much.
The first convert to Christianity.
Hello, Philip. Right? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so important that
was not a man.
Transported there.
And not a woman.
It's transported there, exactly. Let's talk about the chariot ride and what that was all about. Yeah. So there you are. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like we just touched the tip of the iceberg.
We have, right? Why do we do this in our do we ever bring resolution in any of our episodes? Our listeners are probably so frustrated. It's like, can you bring a closure to this? Well, that's not going to happen with our shows.
We're not going to say and by the way, masculinity is this, sexuality is this.
Yeah. For our followers, like you've learned by now, we're not going to give you a title up in a bow for you, and we're going to conclude the episode with this lesson. That's not happening. So, Jon Carl, it's been amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So much fun.
So what share with our listeners where can they find Jon Carl Lewis? What are you doing out there in the world that you would want them to know?
I think the best place to find out what I'm doing is Queer Christian Ramblings at Substack, or queerchristianramblings.substack.com.
There you go. We'll put it in the show notes for our listeners as always as well. But
announcements will be coming pretty soon about permission to be whole and directions I'm taking in life.
I'm really excited about this, Jon Carl.
That's wonderful. Yeah, excited for your work.
All right. Another wonderful episode. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Radical Love Live, hosted by Mark Dilcom and Kelly Wilson. Recorded at the Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. All rights reserved. Find our episodes on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And check us out at radicallovelive.com, along with our personal websites at markdilcom.com and kellywilson.com. This is Radical Love Live, where we explore faith outside the boxes.